What up, Blockchain Nation? What up, YouTube? Thank you so much for taking time to subscribe to this channel, All Things Blockchain. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button below. Make sure you hit the bell so that you can get weekly notifications whenever we release these videos. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you live for 12 weeks on nothing but cryptocurrency? Well, she has. Her name is Jaide Barclay. She lives in the Gold Coast in Australia, and she did a cryptocurrency survival challenge where she went for 12 weeks across 7 countries and 16 cities, living on nothing but cryptocurrency. I think that is just absolutely gangster. You can follow her here on Twitter, and as you can see, she has over 40,000 people following her on Instagram because of this interesting, well, mainly because of this challenge that she embarked on, which I think is just gangster. So you can check out this URL, I'll leave it below. And if you want to participate in this challenge too, I guess you can send her your details or something. Join me for a weekend. What's this? Join me for a weekend. And yeah, that'll be interesting. Maybe something you can do as well. So I'm also going to show you an interview that I did with Jaide Barclay, who, like I said, she's real estate, former real estate agent who is now in the blockchain space, that went for 12 weeks on living on nothing but cryptocurrency, which is just amazing. So over to the interview with Jaide. Thanks so much. So just real quick, your background. Who really is Jaide Barclay for people who are watching? What's your background basically, and how did you get involved with cryptocurrency?
My background is in real estate and yeah, in property in general. I got involved with cryptocurrency in only Bitcoin actually, late 2017. Luckily early enough in 2017 though. Just really was quite lucky with my timing. And I found out about it just because it had hit mainstream news at that point in time. So I just became intrigued, started researching, started trying to watch as much as I could on YouTube about it. And I got really quite excited. You know, if you recall back to when you first learn about it, you just become obsessed and you just, it consumes every thought you have for like quite a few weeks. So I sort of did that and rode the wave, got crazy, addicted to prices, checking them in the middle of the night, every second of the day. Then we had the drop obviously in January. And from there, I sort of went back to my normal life, day to day, but I remained intrigued and I kept looking at prices throughout the year, doing research, but nowhere near as much as I had been doing. But really that interest stayed, and I just didn't know how to take that any further. And I didn't have any friends that were involved, and because I live on the Gold Coast, I mean the population here is less than 1 million people. It's I'd probably call it a beach town because it's not a major like business or economic hub. So yeah, it just I guess when it's not in your mind and people aren't talking about it, it's not as easy to stay involved. But I still did, and then I had a career change, and I just decided, okay, 2019, my New Year's resolution is I want to actually get involved on a career level. And I still didn't know how to do that. It's not like you go onto, or here anyway, you don't go onto a career seeking website and nothing really comes up when you type in either crypto or blockchain.
It's new everywhere pretty much. Even in the US, it's still picking up. So basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you type something in there, whether, you know, you'd get a host of jobs. But anyway, and I didn't just want a normal job either. I really wanted to see what was available, what was out there. And that's when I decided to start traveling. So I went to London Blockchain Week and got really excited and pumped up from that. Before I went to London Blockchain Week, I started a blog, and that was just to continue my learning and force myself every day to learn about a new topic that I didn't know about. And when I got to London, I discovered that crypto payments was an issue and people just weren't spending. And for us to move forward and really take that next step, that needed to happen.
Absolutely.
So when I got home, it was just on my to-do list, like, next blog, write about this. So I started planning it and I thought, oh, actually, I've never spent crypto myself. Set up a wallet, and then there wasn't really many places on the Gold Coast to spend it, to be honest. So it wasn't going to be interesting. So I thought, oh, I'll wait till I travel. And I had planned quite a few conferences to attend after London, which just happened to span over a 12-week period. So I thought, okay, cool. I'm going to do this while I travel solely, and I'm going to compare the countries that I travel to and see what the challenges are and how easy and how difficult it is to spend crypto in each of them.
So quick question. So you transitioned, or you're transitioning from real estate into the blockchain space. So I know a lot of people always ask that, how do they get involved in blockchain? Most people think they have to be like a software developer or otherwise. So
No.
in what way are you transitioning, or how are you entering into the blockchain space? Just quick, curious question.
Well, I have absolutely I'm not like tech savvy. There's no coding, there's no background experience. My background was in sales and marketing, really. So yeah, by no way.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a little bit of trading experience because I just trade shares before, only on the Australian stock market. So I didn't even have, a lot of a technical analysis. It was just more companies I knew or whatever. My advice would be that anybody can transition in. It's such an open and friendly space as well, because now that I've been traveling so much and met a lot of people from everywhere, people are very, very welcoming to newcomers. And so many people say, people are not as competitive as I would have thought. Everyone's willing to help each other, give each other advice, do introductions. So it's been a really, really nice experience transitioning into the industry.
So you went 12 whole weeks and you spent nothing but cryptocurrencies in 7 countries. So tell us, what was that like? What was that like? It
was great. It was such an amazing experience now that I reflect back on it. And at the end of that 12-week period, I did my last vlog, where one of my main reflection points was that it felt like a year rather than 3 months.
Oh, really?
So much happened. And, when you're doing that much travel and meeting that many people, of course that's going to happen. But yeah, it was obviously very frustrating at times. And I would think, what did I do this for? When I was restricted, or if there was something I wanted to buy and simply couldn't, or there's somewhere I wanted to go and couldn't. But I'm so glad now that I did it.
Nice.
And I've continued spending crypto since I finished as well.
Wow.
Because it's like, actually, do you know what happened, which was really funny? 2 weeks after I finished, I was in Miami actually, and I went to the ATM to get cash out and my card didn't work.
Okay.
Oh my God, my card's not working. I can't believe this. And, I was like stressed and about to get in touch with my bank and work out what was going on and think, how am I going to survive? I'm like, hang on a minute. Like, there's no problem. I did this for 12 weeks without even having the luxury of like a credit card or a bank card. So like, I've got this. But yeah, it's funny how quickly you adjust into it and you adjust back off it as well.
So interesting. So what were you buying and what cryptocurrencies were you using? Was it mainly Bitcoin? Was it Ethereum? So what were you buying? What restaurants you went to, did they have like payment systems to accept cryptocurrency? So 2 questions is, what were you buying? And also, what cryptocurrencies were you using? Was it mainly Bitcoin? Was it Ethereum? Was it a mix? So what did
I used Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I used ADA as well, but that was on a gift card. It was mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Gotcha.
So yeah, food was definitely my main purchase because that's obviously the day-to-day. Coffee was the most difficult in the morning, just because you need it straight away. So
Starbucks doesn't accept cryptocurrencies, unfortunately. So
well, also, like, just say for example, this happened on numerous occasions where I would have done my research, found a cafe that accepted it, sometimes traveled kilometers or miles, to get there. Like if I was in Tokyo or whatever, you have to learn how to use the subway, get there, all that kind of stuff. And then they didn't accept it anymore. And when you just really need your morning coffee, or you're starving and you need something to eat. So yeah, they were definitely the tough times. But like by the end, I was so used to that happening, obviously. It's like sometimes if I went into a place and there was nothing that went wrong and they accepted it straight away, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm going to stay all morning and, hang out here for a few hours. Yeah. But I started taking coffee with me when I traveled in the end. Cool. Because I didn't have time to run around in the end.
So question, what did your research look like? You said you did some research to find out what restaurants. So let's say, for instance, I want to, or some of our viewers decide that, you know what, I'm going to do like what Jaide Barclay did. I'm going to go 12 weeks and just spend Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency. So what was your research like? How do I know what restaurants accept in whatever city I'm going to? Or what does your research look like?
Google was always my first step, and then Coin Map came up a lot.
Gotcha. Coin Map?
Yeah, that really got me through Asia. It was relatively up to date as well. I was impressed with how up to date it was. And then it was a matter of, so just say, for example, I was going to Hong Kong next week. Ideally, I would do that research now, and then I would email ahead, or a lot of the companies only had like a Facebook page. So I would message ahead and confirm, do you still accept it? I'm coming in. I need to know, that you accept it, what you accept, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, Coin Map really got me through. There's an app in Australia called Travel by Bit. Okay. In America, Bit Refill was massive. That just seriously got me through 2 weeks there, because that's the longest. The longest I did was 2 weeks in America and 2 weeks in Hong Kong. Okay. So Bit Refill is where you actually go and you buy a gift card, and then you use that gift card in the store. And in America, it's partnered with so many franchises. So that's just so easy, because for once, like in that period, I could go out and there'd be something on the block. There'd be something so close to where I was staying that it was amazing. I also used Bit to Bill in Australia, which is the same concept as Bit Refill. I started using a 10x card as well. I went for a good 6 weeks without using that, which I was impressed with, but the timing was funny. Just coincidentally, I don't think I could have got around New York without my 10x card, because I really needed it for Ubers. And Manhattan's too big, and it was raining a lot. It was cold. I wouldn't have just been able to walk around Manhattan and get everywhere I needed to go.
Interesting. So were there times that you thought to yourself, you know what, this is frustrating. Yeah. I'm just going to spend cash. What was it? How were you able to just hold on? What was your main vision, or what was inspiring you to keep on spending crypto, even when obviously there were times you could just spend cash, like, no one would know.
Now that I think about it, I only had those thoughts in the first week. And then I really, that thought didn't seriously cross my mind after that week. And it's because I realized, okay, I can do this, like, this is fine. And it's mainly because I told so many people. So like, yeah, like,
hold you accountable. That's a very good.
Yeah, it really did hold me accountable. So I'm actually so glad that, like, my first point was I put it out on Instagram. And already by the time I put that out on Instagram, I already felt that accountability. Yeah. And Hong Kong was my first major stop. So I was in Hong Kong on day 3. And because I was at a conference, you go through, you meet so many people go, what do you do? And you sort of start talking about what people do in the crypto blockchain space. So I'd sort of like repeated myself multiple times in a day of what I was up to. So I couldn't exactly go back on it at that point. And I'd already done like a big interview, and I mean, yeah, the accountability was seriously there. But yeah, I think I just realized after Hong Kong, okay, yep, this is manageable. I can do this. Just be prepared. And I started bartering with friends in Hong Kong as well. it wasn't intentional. It's just that we were out and I'd say, okay, I'm going back to my hotel. I can't come to this bar. They don't accept crypto. And people go, it's fine. We'll just pay for your drinks. And I'm like, okay, I can't just go for 12 weeks, people buying me drinks. So I was like, okay, if you buy me drinks, then I'm going to transfer your crypto back into your wallet, or you have to come for dinner with me to a crypto place and I'll pay for that. So I realized like, okay, well, that's another way of surviving. Yeah.
Makes sense. So what has the response been? I know you have about 40,000 followers on Instagram so far. So what has the response been from people, from the community?
It's been phenomenal. It's been really, really amazing. And I'm so grateful for the support that I received along the way, because I've met people right up until the end. Like week 11, I was meeting new people. Wow. And it's amazing how many introductions came from it. So like we'd be out for dinner and someone would say, oh, you've got to meet my friend, you've got to do this podcast, you've got to do an interview here, my friend would love to hear about it. There are different companies that are starting new apps and different things, travel apps that are all to do with spending crypto or finding places or accepting crypto, traveling with it. And so obviously all of those people I've connected with and had a chat with. So in terms of networking, it's been amazing.
That's a huge asset.
And yeah, it's kind of like given me that really nice introduction into the space where I've sort of come through, well, now 4 months, and it's a lot of opportunities have opened up, which is really amazing.
Amazing. And if you Google Australian woman lives only on crypto, your name comes up, which is cool.
Does it really? I was just about to say I should do that and see what happens. Oh, that's good, because the spelling of my name's difficult, unusual, so at least people can find me.
Nice. So last couple of questions is, so if somebody wants to do what you're doing, what advice would you give them?
The main one is to be prepared, be very prepared. Contact places ahead of time. Take some instant coffee with you or a plunger or something like that, just for the mornings, because the mornings is where you go, oh, okay, this is where I'm going to quit, because until you're through that initial hour of the day, you're like, nah, I've got this, I'm fine. It would be to choose your countries wisely, because I'm so stupid. I finished in the Bahamas of all places, which I literally had to rely the entire time, on my different crypto cards. I really should have just waited until week 13 when I was done to go to the Bahamas. So definitely do your research and go to the countries where you know it's going to be possible.
Okay, makes sense.
And if you can stick to countries where English is, easy enough to get by on, that makes a difference too.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
But also, sorry, quickly, I'll just say, now that I've actually been connected with quite a few companies that are specializing in this, I think it is going to become easier, because there's a couple of people I've spoken to and they've said, oh yeah, we're in beta testing right now. Our app is coming out in September. I'm like, why couldn't you thought
Where
about
were you before, man? Where were you?
Exactly. So I think I'll definitely put some stuff up on my Instagram about these apps and things when they come out, because now it's kind of related to my experience. So I'd like to support them and make sure I'm sort of spreading the word and getting people to start using their app. Or Google crypto friendly apps, Google all sorts of things, and really start embracing those to help on a journey, because the next few months, the next year, I think it's going to definitely become easier. And you know what? Now after Facebook's coin being announced, I think it's going to reach that new level of mainstream. So at least now when people walk into a restaurant and say, do you accept it? More people are going to understand what it is.
Gotcha. So what are your thoughts on that, on Libra coin, on Facebook's coin? Have you had a look at it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that I think it's fantastic for the exposure it's given us. My grandma texted me yesterday about it. Because,
I saw that on Twitter. I saw you.
Yeah, I thought that was so cute. So I've got to sneeze. No, I don't. Yes, obviously my entire family, even my grandparents, know what I've been up to. So now when something like that hits the news, they text me or they call me and say, have you seen this?
Yeah.
So yeah, for exposure, it's fantastic. So many people have contacted in the last few days telling me or asking if I've heard about it. I'm like, yes, I've heard about it. I mean, it's centralized, so, you know, it goes against what crypto was intended for. There's also the fact that, I mean, I tried to place an ad on my Instagram account once and that was banned. Nothing to do with cryptocurrency has ever been approved in a paid ad through a Facebook company before. So it's pretty interesting that all of a sudden, you know, it's probably intended, I guess. They've obviously been working on it for quite a long time. So I won't buy it, I don't think, unless I need it to purchase something on the Facebook platform. But I won't be buying it to try and make any money. Obviously, it's a stable coin, so it's not really possible. Maybe over the very long term, but I'll stick to like my traditional cryptos. And but yeah, I was actually saying to my friend last night, I think it's good because it's going to get people to start opening wallets. It's going to get people familiar with digital currencies. It's going to help, you know, change that mental shift of people from not understanding it, not quite grasping where their money is held or placing a value on that mentally, and just sort of bring them into the space. And what I'm hoping is from that, you know, there'll be people that maybe get involved hoping to make money because they might have heard of people who have made so much money on Bitcoin before. So then they'll realize, okay, I need to start exploring other cryptocurrencies now. So hopefully it brings a lot of new users into the space. What do you think of it?
Awesome. I think, well, in the parts of the world like the United States and obviously Australia, a use case might not be so, well, the use for it might not be as prominent like in different parts of the world. For instance, like remittances. I was just talking about how if I want to send money to my mom who lives in Africa, I have to either use Western Union or I have to find somebody who has a US account here. It's a whole hassle, but now I can do payments almost instantly. I think it's going to be a huge problem for the banks because you have a tech company, bless you, that has 2 billion users that has partnered with Uber, with Lyft. I think the banks really need to wake up and look at what they're doing because the fees for doing transactions through, Libra are minimal in comparison to what the banks would charge. So I don't have anything good or bad to say about it. I'm still researching it, but I think that in different parts of the world where you have issues with currency volatility and high transaction fees, I think it's just going to be a gold mine. And you can send, it's like you can send a Libra coin through your WhatsApp. You can send it through the app.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, actually.
That's awesome. It's crazy. And lastly, you can literally, I can buy $1,000, $2,000 worth of Libra. I can send anybody anywhere around the world and they can convert it to their own local currency. So it's
pretty cool.
Are crazy. And I like what it's going to do ultimately for the blockchain community. I don't think it's going to be a threat to Bitcoin or to cryptocurrencies. I think it's more of a threat to traditional banking systems, in my personal opinion. So I think it's exciting anyway for crypto. So it's interesting.
It's pretty cool. If you think about like, you know, a lot of young people who might travel around the world, like I did a school exchange when I was 16. And so I was, you know, I had my savings and my pocket money, things like that I took with me. But throughout that journey, my mum needed to send me money for different things, like at the school I was studying at, stuff like that. And I remember then that used to take like 4 days, and there was always that was my first experience with money transfer. And because
the fees were high, I'm sure.
Pardon?
The fees were very high just to do a simple transaction.
They were huge. And I just think that opportunity with, you know, underage kids or children who are still financially reliant on their parents who might be overseas, or again, get into, have an emergency, have a medical emergency, and all of a sudden need their parents' help financially. That is really, really cool that is going to be able to send money instantly. And I think it's going to bring that generation of parents and grandparents onto the platform of using cryptocurrencies. So yeah, it's very, very exciting news. I think we've had a lot of exciting news this week, actually. So yeah, it's cool.
Very exciting news. So last question I'll ask you is, where do you hope, or what do you hope the next 2-3 years will be like regarding cryptocurrencies and blockchain? But before I say that, I want to commend you for what you're doing. I love this blockchain space. It's kind of like you're creating your own career for yourself,
Isn't it? Yeah, it's like
it's a new industry. So you're the one creating of the Jaide Barclay career. You can define what that you want to play, which is just amazing. You couldn't do that in any industry, in my opinion.
No, it's just, we're so lucky to have this opportunity.
Yeah.
I listened to Andrew Yang speak in New York, and he was really good on stage. One thing I remember him saying was he's like, I love you crazy crypto people. None of you have 9-to-5 jobs. You're all just traveling the world constantly. A lot of you are pretty cashed up. It's amazing. And yeah, it's phenomenal to have this opportunity to live like this.
Interesting how you're funding it. It's really, really interesting to go 6 countries and travel. It's amazing. So where do you hope the blockchain cryptocurrency space will be in the next 2-3 years? That's the last question I'll ask you.
If we can get momentum like this with Libra, with this kind of growth into the world, it's going to be mind-boggling to even think where we are in 3 years. So I really hope it's mainstream in 3 years. And like I said, I'm still using cryptocurrency now. So the last thing I paid for was my gas. And that's just because price has been really volatile in the last week. So I thought, okay, it's high time I'm going to spend my ETH on gas. But I top up as well a lot. So I don't do big payments with it. But it would be pretty cool if more places start accepting it and it actually does become not something people intentionally go out and do, but second nature to, if you've gone for lunch, you pay with crypto. I think that's a possibility in 3 years. I think prices are going to be, I really think getting into 2020, they're going to have a substantial lift. So I'd love to see Bitcoin in particular at a minimum of 100,000, and I think it's possible. That's in 3 years' time. There's going to be, people still talk about the killer app. I wonder what other apps, not just, money related or crypto related, are going to come out that we might be using, whether it's, getting our data from our iPhones and somehow using those for research on linking them up with blockchain, or it's really, really hard to predict. But I guess before I ramble, my things are, I think prices are going to see a substantial lift from where they are today. A lot more people are going to be using it, and it's going to be more widely available. I know those things all seem a bit obvious, but I just think the growth is going to be pretty phenomenal in the next 3 years. My wish for you is that you learn about crypto, because cryptocurrencies will change and are changing the world, and those who get involved early will greatly affect the future. And if that's you, then let's go and change the world.
Let's go change the world, Jaide Barclay.